Professor Dr. Shauna White from the University of Nice. The reason why I put her name here on my presentation is because we are working together for this European project called ITILT, Interactive Technologies in Language Teaching. And as soon as you start working for a European project where so many people are involved, it's difficult to say this is something that I have developed. We always develop things in collaboration with other people, so that's why I put her name, because I'm going to be referring to things that we have done together. Okay, so interactive technologies in language teaching. The title of my presentation, Interactive Whiteboards in the EFL Classroom. EFL stands for English as a Foreign Language, as you know. And I'm going to show some findings of this project. I'm going to show one example of a flip chart, an electronic flip chart that was developed in the framework of the project. And I'm also going to show you some video clips of real teachers using interactive whiteboards for teaching languages. And these video clips have been filmed not only in Germany, but also in other parts of Europe. And I want you to start thinking about the use of interactive whiteboards in that way. I think the best way to think about a technology is actually to see how this technology can be used in the foreign language classroom. So whiteboards in action. So that's what I'm planning to do today. And I hope you will be able to participate as much as possible. I know it's very hard for you to just come to the front and do something, so I'm not going to ask you to do that, but I'm going to ask you to have some conversation in pairs and to reflect on the use of the interactive whiteboard by analyzing these videos. Okay? So this is the overview of my presentation today. I'm going to start talking about the current situation of interactive whiteboards in education and then in language teaching more specifically. By the way, who has already used an interactive whiteboard here from this group? Several people have already used an interactive whiteboard for presentations, for example. Who has used the interactive whiteboard for teaching in schools? Okay. In Germany or abroad? In Germany. Okay. So we have people with experience. Who has seen a whiteboard in action but has never used one? Okay, so you have some background, most of you at least, 80%, have some background knowledge on what this technology is all about. And you are lucky that you can actually see a whiteboard here, so I don't have to explain to you how this technology works. Then, as I said, we are going to be using some resources and video clips from this European project, and you obviously need to know about this project. So what is this project all about? So what are our aims in this project? So I'm going to talk about the project, the main aims, the partners, and the development of the project. But obviously, I have to go very quickly through it because we want to get to the most interesting part, which is the analysis of the video clips. We are going to be looking at interaction in the foreign language classroom. Because if you think about the interactive whiteboard, what is the first word that comes to your mind? Interaction, right? Interactive. So how interactive is the interactive whiteboard? Does the use of the interactive whiteboard really support interaction in the language classroom? So this is the question that many people have been asking themselves. So today we are going to be looking at these video clips in terms of, and try to analyze the levels of interaction that are created in those classrooms. Okay? So obviously, interactive whiteboard mediated interaction. And then I'm going to present some conclusions of our findings, the findings of this EU project. So let's take a look. What is the current situation of interactive whiteboards in the world and in Germany? So obviously there is a general trend towards more ICT in schools across Europe, right? ICT stands for Information Communication Technologies. And there is also a clear increase in whiteboard sales. So here we can take a look at this chart. This chart has been produced by Future Source Consulting. So it's the result of a survey of classroom interactive display penetration, which means the amount of interactive displays in classrooms in Europe. So here I have different countries. We have UK, Netherlands, Denmark, etc., etc., and then you have Germany over here. So we can say that in the UK, 85% of the classrooms are equipped with interactive whiteboard technology, or as they call interactive display technology. But it's expected, so this is the statistics for 2012, and it's expected 94% of the classrooms will be equipped with interactive whiteboards by 2016. Okay? Actually, I already thought that in the UK, 90% or 94% of the classrooms were equipped with interactive whiteboards, but it's not true according to this survey, which is actually a very good survey. Okay, so if you compare, you can see that we have the Netherlands also with a good number of interactive whiteboards. Germany is here with 14% of the classrooms being equipped with interactive whiteboards. And then by 2016, we expect 25% of the classrooms, okay? So it's not big increase. Huh? Obviously, they are taking into account issues related to funding. Maybe the governments don't have enough funding to invest, or not so much interest in investing on this technology. Turkey, for example, 22%, but it's expected 82%. So there is a big investment nowadays. The government is putting lots of money on the purchase of interactive whiteboards in Turkey. So this is the situation in Germany. And I've been working with this technology for several years, since 2002, and this technology has evolved a lot along these years. So in the beginning, when I started working with technology, we had the projectors separated from the board. Now they are integrated into the board itself. And in the future, we expect something different, something like a big iPad in your classrooms, like very thin hardware, okay, without these projectors. So that's what we expect for the future, okay? But we are going to still have something similar. That won't be called maybe the interactive whiteboard, but something similar to this. Okay, so this is the situation. Any questions so far? Is it clear? Okay, good.
There's one question.
Yes, one question, very good.
So how much is one whiteboard round about? How much money does it
Okay, about 2,000 euros, one whiteboard with everything, with the projector, okay? And your professor just told me that he managed to get 2 whiteboards for the price of one or something.
Sometimes, well, every year there's the deductor fair, and they do have special deals. If you want to buy the version of the last year, you can do this buy one, get one free deal, what we did for our institute. So.
Yes. So you can get discounts if you are part of a school or university. Okay, so there is a rapid increase of whiteboards in Germany. Okay, good.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but what schools is the research or the findings, what are they referring to? All schools?
All schools. It was a very big survey.
Wow.
Okay, in general, yes. Okay, so rapid increase of whiteboards in Germany. Huh? As you can see, for those who are already teaching, you already see more and more whiteboards in classrooms. But the problem is there is very limited teacher training materials and support for the design, evaluation, and implementation of whiteboards, whiteboard materials for the foreign language classroom, especially for the foreign language classroom. Huh? So this is an issue. We have the technology, but we don't have teachers who know how to use the technology. And that's something that needs to be dealt with. Huh? So we need to develop training for these teachers. We need to provide these teachers with examples of good practice, examples of resources that they can use in their classrooms, examples of maybe clips of other teachers using the whiteboard. So this was the initial idea for this European project. So we need to train language teachers to become confident users of the interactive whiteboard. And we also need to help them to use the whiteboard in ways that are in accordance to principles, current principles of language teaching methodology. So for example, if you think nowadays about communicative language teaching, or task-based language teaching, or project-based language teaching. These are the current models of language teaching methodology, right? So we want our teachers to use this technology, the interactive whiteboard, in accordance to these principles. We don't want them to use the whiteboard to take control of the classroom and to teach in a teacher-centered way. Huh? We want them to use current models, okay? But now let's take a look at what the research says about the benefits and challenges of using the whiteboard in language teaching. Okay? What are the possible benefits? Why should we use whiteboards? Okay. One thing that the research says is that the use of the whiteboards can facilitate the integration of new media in the language classroom. Okay? So if I have technology like this in my language classroom, it will become much easier for me to draw on different multimedia resources for my lessons. So for example, I can make use of digital videos very easily, especially if I have internet connection, right? I can make use of digital pictures. I can easily go to Google Images and copy and paste interesting pictures to make my lessons more interesting. I can use audio files. I can also use different approaches, like for example, video conferencing, and I can have my pupils communicating with pupils in other parts of the world. So I have many more possibilities. So I can integrate new media in the language classroom more easily. I don't have to go to a computer lab to be able to use language learning software, for example. I can do it in the classroom. So the classroom becomes a place where I use new technologies. The research also says that when you use this interactive technology, you can enhance the scope of interactivity and learner engagement. And learners become much more motivated to participate during the lessons because they want to use this new media, new technologies. They get more excited about these new types of materials that the teacher is going to use, right? So they tend to become, to participate more and to become more engaged during the lessons. As another aspect is the development of electronic literacies. So research has also shown that when the teacher uses an interactive whiteboard, the teacher is drawing upon all these resources. For example, internet resources, web resources, right? Or using different types of digital pictures. Or using Word. Just normal, ordinary type of technology. And then as the teacher uses this, the learners are paying attention to what the teacher is doing. So if the teacher is searching for information on the internet, the learner is paying attention to the kinds of strategies that the teacher is using to find information. And so the learners are not only learning the language or learning about the language, but the learners are also learning about new technologies, how to make good use of new technologies. Because then you would tell me now, our learners, they know more about new technologies than we do. They are digital natives, so they know how to use them, they know how to exploit them. It's not really true. They know how to use new technologies for their own purposes. They know how to use new technologies for playing, but they don't really know how to use new technologies effectively for language learning, for example. And then when the teacher uses this technology in the classroom, then the learners are also learning about new technologies in general, okay? And how to exploit these new technologies for their own language learning purposes, okay? So then you have this aspect. Another important aspect, if you use an interactive whiteboard, you can meet the needs of learners with diverse learning styles. There are some learners who really need to see things in order to be able to process the information better, right? So they need to have access to pictures in order to understand a concept. So the visual learner is really catered for with the use of an interactive whiteboard. Or the kinesthetic learner that needs movement, or the tactile learner that needs touching. This doesn't mean that you're not going to use real objects in the classroom anymore, because for some learners it's really important to touch things, right? So we have to be careful not to use this technology for the whole lesson, because there are different types of learners. But you can actually use the technology to meet the needs of learners with diverse learning styles. Okay, so these are some of the benefits of using this technology. But there are also some challenges, right? As you can imagine, you are all here looking at me, passive, just listening to what I'm saying, and I'm making use of the whiteboard just as a presentation device. I'm not doing anything special here. So the technology can be used by teachers to control the learning environment. Now, I take control of the pen, I take control of the whiteboard, and then you can't use the whiteboard. So I'm actually taking control of the learning environment and actually returning to a teacher-centered whole class teaching. And then implementing some kind of a transmission model of teaching. So this can be a problem, especially if teachers are insecure about the technology, are not so confident about the technology. Sometimes they don't want to give the pen to the pupils because they are afraid that the pupils are going to mess up with their presentations or with their resources. So it's better if I control everything to make sure that things go well. So this is one problem. If I'm insecure, I tend to take control of the board, the learners don't use the board, and I can't really employ or implement communicative, task-based or project-based approaches with the whiteboard. Okay? For the students, imagine if I prepare a presentation that is full of materials, full of resources, full of pictures, full of internet links. It might be the case that this can lead to cognitive overload. That pupils become overwhelmed with too much information during the lessons. Okay? So too many stimuli. So you have to be careful also with that, because research has shown, my research actually, the research I conducted when I lived in the UK and I did my PhD research there, my findings have shown that for some of the students, the use of the interactive whiteboard was a problem because it led to cognitive overload. Inversely, the technology can also be used to spoon-feed the learners with pre-prepared or pre-designed presentation materials. Who knows what spoon-feed is? Everybody knows, right? So normally I spoon-feed children. So I give the food on a spoon and then I give to the child. So it's very easy for the child. The child is just there, passive, and then I come with the food and I give it to her. In Germany, this is not really so common because the children want to start eating on their own as soon as they get 2 months old or something like that, right? They say, I can do it myself, and they do it. So it's very difficult even to spoon-feed children in Germany. But in general, I can also use the interactive whiteboard to spoon-feed my learners. So if I bring in everything pre-designed, and they don't have to think so much, because all the answers to their questions are on the flip chart, and they don't have to think so much about the concepts. Even if I'm introducing a new word and they, for example, don't understand the definition of the word, I can quickly go to Google Images and show the picture immediately. So I don't give them the time to try to visualize that word, or maybe try to define the word to each other so that they can make a mental effort to understand that word. I quickly provide the stimulus, right? And then maybe I make them more passive in that sense. Okay? So these are problems. So teacher-centeredness, cognitive overload, spoon-feeding are some of the problems that have been found in research on interactive whiteboards. So this means, as I told you before, most of the teachers who design lessons that lead to cognitive overload or spoon feeding, for example, or teacher-centeredness. They do this because they don't have enough professional training. They didn't have access to professional training. So we need to provide training to these teachers. We need to design pedagogical resources to assist teachers in exploiting the interactive whiteboard in the foreign language classroom. That's how we came up with the idea for the iTilt project. These problems I'm discussing here with you, these are problems faced by teachers all over the world, all over Europe. So then we had different professors or lecturers, researchers from different parts of Europe who said, we want to work together, we want to help teachers all over the world. And then we got together and started this project. And it's very interesting to take part in a European project because you start from scratch. You have nothing. You just have a group of people who are interested in a subject, who want to help other people. And then we work together and we develop something. And that's what I'm going to show to you. So we produced training materials. We produced a handout for teachers. And this handout is actually available on our website. I gave a copy to Tom Schmidt. It's not that one, but anyway. Okay, these are the handouts, but I'm giving you a copy. Don't worry, yes. But this is all because it's an European project. Everything is available for free on the website. So you can go to the website. We have a PDF with our training handout, especially for language teachers. And we also produce video clips and we provide resources as well. So these are the partners in the project. So we have Germany, Pädagogische Hochschule Heidelberg. Then we have Spain, British Council. We have Cardiff, University of Cardiff. We have Turkey. We have France, University of Nice, Sophia Antipolis. And we have the Netherlands, Telconsult, the Netherlands providing web support for the project. And here in the middle, we have the coordinators from Antwerp. Okay? The project started in January 2011 and finished now in March 2013. So we had a long process to produce everything. First, we provided training. First of all, we designed the training module for teachers. So we had to draw on research that had been done in this area, to think about possible tasks that teachers could use. So we prepared this training module for teachers. Then we trained those teachers. So we worked with teachers who were already using interactive whiteboards, different schools. And then we visit them twice during the life of the project, and then we recorded their lessons. And then from their lessons, we made these video clips. And then we created our website. Okay? And for this interactive whiteboard training, you might ask me, so what was the theoretical framework for the training? How were these teachers trained? So we used the communicative task-based approach for the training. And we designed materials for various educational contexts, primary, secondary, vocational, and higher education. So it's really very broad. And we worked with how many languages? I think 6 or 7 languages. And so it was, okay, very big. So now I would like to show you just one material, because I'm telling you about this, about the resources that we produce for the training. We needed to give, actually Heidelberg was responsible for designing the training module and the training materials. And this is an example of a material that we developed in the framework of the project. And this material was used for training the teachers. Okay? So here we have this specific material was used for the teaching of vocabulary. So here, if you click on task overview, you're going to see all the learning objectives of this specific what is that? Okay, doesn't matter here. Let me. So you can have for the subjects and all the task sequences, the level, very important, to make sure that anyone who uses these materials knows what this material is all about and the main aims of using the material. Okay, so I go back here. Okay, oh, I think I'm working with Smart, but it's okay. Okay, so we can start with this activity, okay? Here, to help teachers, we actually have these pull tags that explain the activities for teachers. So this is the whiteout effect. Ask the students to guess on the topic. So you can say, can you guess what the topic is about? So we use the whiteout effect. Then there is a white layer on the flip chart, so you can remove it gradually and then show things gradually and get the students participating. Okay, then the aim of the specific activity. Before we had the aim of the teaching unit. Now we have the aim of this specific activity. Then how you design this page. It's very simple, but teachers need some step-by-step guidelines. And then the potential, which means why am I using an interactive whiteboard for this activity? What is the added value of the interactive whiteboard for this activity? Okay? So here, for example, I have everything was white before, and then if I click on the eraser, then I can start removing things little by little. And then I can start asking the pupils, what can you see here? What color can you see? Can you imagine what the topic of the lesson is today? Of course, you can do more interesting things with this kind of effect. So what are we talking about today? You can also make use of Spotlight, but I don't have it here, but it doesn't matter. We can continue. Okay. Then we have a very traditional interactive whiteboard activity where you have this drag and drop effect, right? Since I can move things around on the interactive whiteboard, I can make good use of these matching exercises. So here I have pictures of the same landscape for different seasons. So the point for this teaching unit would be to work with the seasons and vocabulary related to seasons, and then to get the learners to practice the vocabulary. And then in the end, they have to buy some clothing items, so different winter clothes. Okay, here, of course, they would come to the board, and then, first of all, you would describe what they can see, etc., exploit the picture as much as possible, and then they have to move. So, is it correct? It's correct. So here I can just move things around. The software won't tell me if it's right or wrong, but actually with this specific software, you can use some kind of programming that will allow the software to tell you if it's correct or wrong. So you can program the software to bounce back items that are wrong. So if I go here, for example, autumn, then it would not accept it. Okay, but this is not the case. We didn't do it in this specific flip chart page. Okay, so this is something that you could do. Then you have this other activity where the pupils are supposed to practice a sentence like, this specific thing belongs to or goes to. So for example, the swimming pool belongs to summer, and then you move the swimming pool to summer. So obviously, in this case, the pupils already know different items of vocabulary, so the idea is just to practice the seasons, so they are supposed to know all these words already. Otherwise, this would lead to cognitive overload if they have to learn so many words in the same lesson. So in this case, they already know the items, and they are supposed to come to the board and move them to the correct option. And the important thing is, when you use an interactive whiteboard, is to make sure that when the learners go to the board, that they actually produce language, that they don't only go to the board and move things around and just go back to their seats, but that they come to the board, or the pupils from the seats can also say things, and that you can exploit these materials as much as possible. And here, of course, this is a link. So I have here a link to a song, the month song. So you can also, as I said, you can exploit internet web resources during the lesson, and then the learners will know or will have access to these resources, and they will know where to find them if they want to work individually. So that's the positive thing about it as well. So I can follow this link, and it takes me to this karaoke activity, so I can work with this song with my pupils and make the lessons more interesting. Of course, this flip chart could not be used in one lesson. Of course, if I use the interactive whiteboard in one lesson, I'm going to use the technology in different parts of the lesson. I'm going to, for example, use it for introduction, and then we have some group work or pair work, and then we go back to the whiteboard to take another look at what they have produced, etc., etc. Okay? So these are just examples of things that you could do with the whiteboard. And here you have the pull tag shows the song lyrics. So just in case you want to work with the lyrics together with your pupils. Okay? Here, this is a possibility also for practicing the new vocabulary and the new structures that they have learned. You can use the whiteboard for station work. You know what station work is, right? This means that the pupils are going to be working in groups, and for each group they have a task to fulfill. And one of the tasks is actually done at the whiteboard. Okay? In this case, a group of pupils come to the board, and then they have some questions here that are hidden. So they just pull them out, and then one pupil asks, "What's your favorite month?" And then the other pupil, "Okay, it's, I don't know, September, it's September." And then you continue. "Which month don't you like?" "I don't like January." "Which season don't you like?" "I don't like winter." Okay? And then they can practice with each other. They can actually use the whiteboard, because these are all very, very simple activities. But first of all, for the teacher, they can produce these materials very quickly. After you learn how to use the software, of course, and after you know how to use ICT. But it doesn't take so long once you have some basic knowledge of ICT. Otherwise, a teacher would need to come up with flashcards, and then the flashcards would disappear, or whatever. And in this way, you just prepare something, and for the pupils, since it's something hidden and they don't know what's coming next, they get very excited, and they want to take part in this conversation, in this exchange. Here is another possibility. We can work with now with the clothing items, and now the idea is to the steps you should follow. What comes first? So let me take a look at the activity. The task is to dress the boy in the right order. So what comes first? So how do you dress this boy? You can repeat. We can actually practice this vocabulary. As I said, this flip chart is supposed to help pupils to memorize or to remember this vocabulary items, these vocabulary items. And here it's a good way to practice vocabulary, because they are going to be using the new words many times, because they need to discuss what they are going to put first. So let me see here. In between. So would you, now we put on the shoes, and I can start like that. So let's start like this, and then no. You put on, what would you do? What would you put first? What would be the shoes? Definitely not. The pants. So you would go for the pants. So you should put on the pants first. Would you go for that? Okay, so everybody agrees with the pants. Okay, so let's go for that. So the shoes are still not there, right? So you put on the pants. Next one. Okay, so so put on the shirt, okay, good. So you can go like that. and then it goes on like that. So you put on the shirt, so they're practicing the vocabulary in a way that they find interesting, that they find amusing, right? And then I go put it back here. Okay, so this is an example of material that we prepared. Here, for example, is a very simple way of exploiting the whiteboard. Here the learners are supposed to buy clothes at a shop, winter clothes. Now it's winter and they need new clothes, so they have to buy. So they are being prepared to go to a shop and buy these clothes. So hello, how can I help you? I need a pair of. At this point, you can have your pupils here in the front to do the role play. But the difference is that they have a nice background here, and you have task support because you have the phrases that will help them to perform the role play. So you are using the whiteboard, but in a way that is very limited, but still interesting for the pupils because they feel like they are part of the shop. And it's something that's very easy to do. You just use background from Google Images and you put on the flip chart. Okay? So this is an example of material that we produced for the training. The copyright, everything's there, so we made sure we had we used copyright materials. Okay? And this is an example of material just for the training. But the most interesting thing is that when you go to the website, we have about more than 200 learning objects, more than 200 video clips of real lessons, and sometimes these learning objects also include the resources that the teachers used. So you can see examples of flip charts that teachers in Germany used during their lessons. So you can have some ideas of different materials that you can adapt to your own classroom. Okay? So this is what we did in the project. So first we used those resources to train the teachers. Then we visit them twice. Each country worked with 6 teachers. So I had 6 teachers in Germany, secondary level, primary level, vocational level, and I worked with them. I trained them, and then I went to visit them twice, and we video recorded their lessons. But we couldn't put the whole lesson on the internet. Nobody's interested in watching a whole lesson. So we needed to do something. So what we did was the following. We interviewed the teachers afterwards, and then we showed them the lessons, and we looked at the lessons together. And they reflected on their lessons, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they would like to improve, some reflective practice. And as we did that, they were supposed to choose some parts of the lessons that they found specifically interesting and where they thought the whiteboard was used wisely, or they could identify the added value of the interactive whiteboard, or the pupils especially liked that sequence, or whatever. And then they chose the sequences. And they said, because we didn't want to choose for them, because sometimes it's embarrassing if you don't like a sequence, and then we choose exactly that sequence that they didn't like. So the teachers actually decided in the end. And what we notice is that sometimes the teachers chose sequences that we as researchers, we didn't like them so much. And we didn't think they actually showed a good interactive whiteboard use in the sense of current models of language teaching methodology. So we disagreed with the teachers, but we decided to use their clips because they showed their levels of development at that point of the project. So if they thought that was good use of the interactive whiteboard, we respected. But on our website, we inform people that these are video clips from our project, and they were chosen by the teachers, and they show their current development, professional development, because this is real life. Even if you provide training to teachers, and if you tell them this is how you're supposed to use the technology, it doesn't mean that they are going to use it like that. Now you have to respect their level of professional development and what they can actually do at that point. So we decided, no problem, we keep the video clips. So we did interviews with the teachers and also with the learners. So if you go online to our website, which I'm sure after this session everybody's going to take a good look, right? You are going online, And here you're going to have the so-called learning object, where you have a video clip, you have excerpts showing the teacher or students' reactions. So some parts of the interviews with the teachers and the learners where they said something about that sequence. And then we have some examples of teaching resources that were used in that specific lesson. Okay? So we have a very rich learning object that people can use. Very contextualized object. We also describe the lesson. This is just a sequence, but we need to explain what the lesson is all about. Okay? So this is what it looks like on our website. If you go to the website, you have the video clip here, then the description of the lesson, the levels, the context, and then you have here some comments from the teacher and comments from the learners. And here, sometimes you have the resources that the teachers use during the lessons. Okay? So we aimed for 108 to 244, but in the end we had more than 200. So we had more than we expected. 5 languages, actually. I said 6, but 5 languages, and different educational sectors. So it's a very rich website. And now we are going, how much time do I have?
Well, go on, 45 minutes.
45 minutes, very good, excellent. Okay, so now we are going to start the most interesting part of this presentation, because we are going to be looking at the video clips, right? And I have brought lots of video clips for you, and I want you to help me in analyzing them. And we are going to be looking at interaction, right? What kind of interaction is taking place here? So we're going to be analyzing interactive whiteboard mediated interaction. Okay? Why is it mediated? Because the pupils and teachers are communicating with each other, or learners with each other, but the whiteboard is somehow supporting this communication, okay, or this interaction. So that's why interactive whiteboard mediated interaction. So the question is, can the use of an interactive whiteboard support interaction and negotiation of meaning in the foreign language classroom? So that's the question, okay? That's a big aim, isn't it? So now I need to explain to you why we are focusing on interaction. And I think you, as future language teachers, you have already had an introduction to language teaching, and someone must have told you how important interaction is for language learning. So second language acquisition research has shown that language learning development depends crucially on input. That's what Krashen would say, right? And you have already learned about Krashen's input hypothesis, right? And Krashen would say we need comprehensible input to be able to learn a second language. But Swain says we also need output. We need to be given opportunities to produce language, right? So this is very important. So input is what you get, is what you hear, is what you see, right? And output is what you produce, as I already explained. And interaction involves both input and output. And that's why Long, a very famous researcher, you also probably know him by now, he proposes the interaction hypothesis, and he says interaction involves learners in the negotiation of meaning, and because of that, interaction facilitates second language acquisition. So when there is negotiation of meaning, learning occurs and language proficiency develops. So it's important for learners to be given opportunities to negotiate meaning, to communicate with other people, to interact in authentic scenarios, so that they really negotiate meaning. And that's a challenge in the foreign language classroom. When you start teaching, you will see most of the time the kind of communication that happens in the language classroom is extremely artificial. Very rarely Pupils are really given the opportunity to negotiate meaning and to exchange authentic and real information. So this is a challenge. Yeah? So now, current foreign language teaching methodologies emphasize the need for. Because of these results of second language acquisition research, now we have language teaching methodologies, textbooks, etc. So they emphasize the need for focusing on real-world, meaningful, and authentic language use. Now, if you think about communicative language teaching, task-based language teaching, we are going to focus on goal-oriented activities, and the aim is always to use language for authentic purposes, right? So this is a challenge as well. And they also say that we should leave space for unplanned and even unpredictable learner contribution. I said we shouldn't control every single output produced by the learners. We should give them the opportunity to play with the language and say things that we didn't even expect from them. So this openness is very important. So unplanned, unpredictable language contribution. So the idea is to design activities and resources that create opportunities for enhanced interaction, collaboration, and negotiation of meaning. Okay? So that's what we are aiming for. So now we're going to look at the video clips, but we need to have this theoretical framework in mind all the time. Are we doing that or not? So we are going for interaction, collaboration, negotiation of meaning, right? Good. So we are going to look at the first video clip, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk to the person next to you and just say what you think about the use of the interactive whiteboard in this lesson. So I'm going to use this thing here just to be on the safe side.
Okay. This is a school bag. You know? A school bag. Yes, school bag. You know? Huh? This is a school bag. Okay? It's heavy. Okay, repeat. School bag. School bag. But it's a magic school bag. Magic. You know? Okay. Why? Come. Open it. No. An eraser. Repeat. An eraser. Repeat. An eraser. Okay. Come. It's a board. It's a board. A board. Yes, come. On est un peu sérieux aujourd'hui. What's in English? A blue pen. Very good. A blue pen. Repeat. A blue pen. Come. Okay. Okay. It's a ruler. Ruler. Okay. Okay, a blue pen. Blue pen. An eraser. Eraser. An eraser. An eraser. A board. Board. A runner. A runner. Oh, what's this? A red pen. Very good. Red pen. Repeat. Red pen. Okay.
Okay. I think you have seen enough of this one. Okay, so I would like to give you 2 minutes to talk to the person next to you and just brainstorm some ideas. What are your thoughts on the way that the whiteboard is being used by the specific teacher? Who can guess where this took place? In which country? France. Okay, the accent. Oh, it was being, okay, anyway. Good. So, what are your thoughts on this sequence? Anything that comes to your mind? There is no right and wrong. It's just about reflecting on what you have seen. Anything? Yes?
You said that we actually wouldn't use the whiteboard for a topic like that,
Mm-hmm.
because those are actual things and they could bring a school bag with all those things. So we said for this topic maybe we would take actual objects.
Yes, realia, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That they can handle and, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Why do you think this would be a better solution or a better approach?
Because we thought that maybe they don't, like, they see the object but they can't touch it,
Mm-hmm.
but they can pull it out of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
But those are actual things which they actually have, so they can touch it.
Yes, yes. If you think of the tactile learner, for example, who needs touching, this would have been a great opportunity for this type of learner.
Yeah.
And these objects are usually in the classroom anyway, right? So you could use such an activity for something that can't be found in the classroom or would be really difficult to find, or the teacher cannot bring to the classroom or something like that. Very good point. Yes. Anything else? Yes.
However, I think that introducing the whiteboard,
Mm-hmm.
and we are not sure how many times this teacher has been using that sort of
Mm-hmm.
equipment in the classroom.
Yes.
And it might be a good idea to start with something that seems to be quite easy, or seems to be, easily applicable, with actual live objects. But for that, as a first, getting a feel for the new technology, it might actually be a good idea. Also, I like the fact that she called it, I don't know, what is it, mystery or magic?
The magic.
And that is always something that really,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really love that, don't
Yeah,
they? So
yeah, yeah.
I think they were all really excited and motivated about it,
Mm-hmm.
even though it seems to be so simple.
Okay. Very good. Yes. Anything else? What about the interaction? Remember, we are focusing on the type of interaction between learners and the teacher and learners. So what did you notice here in terms of interaction? Yes.
I think it was really fun for the kids to come and actually play with the smartboard or with the whiteboard or interact with the whiteboard and do stuff themselves. They were all raising their hands, they were all excited, and they all wanted to go up front.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. And what about in terms of the level of interaction in terms of the language produced by the learners? In terms of what was expected from the learners? Do you know what this is called, this repetition, this choral repetition? What is this called in language teaching? When I say a word and you repeat after me several times. So
Isn't that a sort of imitation?
imitation, very good. Imitation, yes. And more specifically in language teaching, it's called drill and practice. Okay? And drill and practice has a role in language teaching, right? So it's important as well. It doesn't mean that you have to do it all the time and that you have to organize your lesson around this type of interaction pattern, okay? But very, very, very interesting contributions. Okay, so what we have done is we have looked at the different levels. I think it's here. Yeah. We have looked at the different levels of interaction that could be found in these different clips. Okay, we are at the moment looking at all the clips and trying to analyze these levels of interaction. And then we came up with 4 different levels. The first level would be the drill level, driven practice. And then the level of display, that's when the learners are supposed to show what they have learned. Okay? And then the level of simulation, which means that the learners are simulating real life activities. So there is some kind of authentic communication, but it's not real communication. It's something that you are pretending, you are still pretending to be someone that you're not. And then you have the level of communication. And that's when the whiteboard is actually supporting real communication. So communication where you are really expressing something that is important to you and that the others would be interested in. If we think about this specific sequence that you have analyzed, I really liked your contributions, and I think you made a good point when you said they are excited about this activity. They are raising their hands and they want to participate. They want to go to the board. But if you think about it, this is just drill and practice, boring activity, right? But on the other hand, the use of the technology made it more interesting for the pupils, and they became excited. And maybe this will help, this will support language learning. So one of the potentials of the whiteboard is actually to make some boring activities, driven practice activities, more interesting and exciting for the pupils. But on the other hand, we cannot limit the use of the whiteboard to that type of activity. So you have to make sure you design other types of activities that are not only drill and practice. So in this case, you can see that the teacher used repetition. The feedback she gave was just on form, not on meaning. So the focus was on the pronunciation, the correct pronunciation of the items. And there was a limited attempt to contextualize language. They were repeating these words, but this repetition took place in a decontextualized environment. So there was no real life context for repeating these words. Okay, there was a magic box, but then there was a board coming out of the magic, no, not magic box, it was the magic bag, right? But there was a board in the, but it's magic anyway, right? Magic you can do. Okay, so there was an attempt, we can say, there was an attempt to contextualize, but really, so limited attempt. So the focus is always on the linguistic form, not on real life situations. And the opportunities for language production are entirely pre-planned and controlled by the teacher. So whatever you say depends on what the teacher wants you to say. Remember what we talked about giving the learners opportunities to produce language that is not planned, unplanned language production? Here it wouldn't have been possible because the teacher says, repeat after me, eraser, eraser. Okay, board, board, and that's it. That's all the learners are actually producing in terms of language, right? They wouldn't be able to come up with their own contributions, with their own unplanned output. Okay, so here we saw an example. Now let's go on with the next one. Okay. Are you having fun with the video clips? Yes, okay, so.
Let's go. What do you do before school and after school? Okay? So basically, what you have to do, take the pen as usual, For example, okay, and then I write down my name. Okay, everybody, let's go. Who wants to do it first? We start with Fanny, go ahead. And then you pass it on. Let's go. Oh, you have to change it. Click on that arrow. Okay. Go. Up, 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 up. There you go. Okay, Fanny, stop there. Can you say it?
Homework.
Listen.
Homework.
Homework? Homework? Louis. No? Ines. I do.
My homework.
Fanny?
I do my homework
Before school or after school?
before.
Okay, change it then. Okay. Yeah, good. Perfect. So,
I do my homework.
look at them. No, look at them.
I do my homework after school.
Okay, that's perfect. Pass it on. Pass it on.
Okay. What are your thoughts here? Yes. Yes, thank you.
We really liked the way she was doing the activity, that she was actually having the children walk up to the board, drag the image and write down the vocabulary, and that they had to form their own sentences. And we liked that she wasn't correcting the sentences, but let the class see if there are mistakes and come up with the correct solution.
Very good point, yes.
In Turkey, these whiteboards are very new. So, in especially language teaching classroom, there is also a blackboard next to the whiteboard. And after the teachers or students show their items on the whiteboard, teachers starts to write correct sentence on the blackboard. I do my homework after school. So maybe it's more meaningful for students after they shot on the whiteboard.
Okay. Yes, you have the correct model. Huh? I do my homework after school. Maybe for some visual learners or verbal visual learners, they need the written form to be able to retain the information. So this would be a plus for them. It doesn't have to be on an extra blackboard or whiteboard. It could be on the whiteboard as well. The teacher could have done that. But I think she wanted to focus more on speaking, and maybe that's the reason why she didn't do it. Yes. Good. Okay. What else? What about the quality of output here? Let's think about the output. What is being produced by the learners? Is it different from what we saw in the previous one? Was there any kind of development, or is there a difference? Yes?
Yeah, there was a development because they actually had to think about their own lives, so they connected just items that they had on the board, what was it, homework, and probably a visual image of homework, and they needed to connect it to their own life and to their structure of the day, for example.
Okay.
Or events that they do things, which I actually, something I really liked was that the student wasn't quite far from being right saying that I do it before school, because in a way before school is after school, isn't it? So
Exactly. If you are a bad student, you do it very quickly before school, and that's okay, right? But the teacher thought, no, it's after school, it's the correct one, and then the pupil had to finish. So sometimes it's good to just accept what the pupils provide.
A bit of creativity we talked before, right?
Very good. A bit of creativity. Maybe it wasn't on purpose, right? But anyway, the teacher didn't accept this unplanned aspect of the lesson. They had to correct it and let's go back to what I expect from you. Huh? It's after school. Yes, very good. Yes. Yes, so here you can see a little bit of a development because then they could, they were still displaying their knowledge. Now they were showing to the teacher that they could construct this kinds of sentence or structure of talking about daily routines with the simple present. I do homework after school. I take a shower before class or something like that. So they were supposed to display their knowledge. So the idea wasn't really to create real communication, so real exchange of information, but more to display what you already know. And the teacher can say correct or wrong. As you could see, most of the feedback was, mostly on form. On is it correct? I homework? No, I do homework. Huh? But there was some feedback on meaning as well, when the teacher said after school, before school, so there was a focus on meaning as well. So here we see some kind of a development, but we don't really have here, what we don't really have here is an authentic context. So they are talking about their routines, but why? What is the point of talking about routines? In which context in real life do I talk about routines? Does it make sense for them to just go to the front and say, I do my homework, I do this? So sentences that have to do with real life, but the overall context of the activity is not meaningful. So that's why we actually would have considered this level of interaction as display interaction, because they are displaying their knowledge of the structure of the language, and there isn't so you don't have a meaningful context here. So there is no simulation of real-world activity. Good. So let's take a look at the next one. We still have 2 clips, so bear with me, please. Still, let's take a look at this one. Also in French. I'm sorry, for some reason, I chose these clips randomly because I just had a big number of clips and I thought, okay, one for each level, right? And then ended up like that. But we have one from Germany, so you will see something from Germany. So let's take a look at this one. Okay.
Right, so you remember we've worked on all this. Okay. I'm quite sure.
So here, I need to explain this to you because the quality of the video record is not so good, so you can't hear much of what the pupils are saying. So it's important for you to know what is happening here. So the teacher is trying to set up a debate between 2 learners in the classroom. And the debate is about environmental issues. One person represents a big businessman, that one with a cigar. And the other one, the environmentalist person, hippie, playing the guitar, is defending environmental issues. The other one is defending business. So they're supposed to have a debate, okay? And then this is what the teacher is doing now.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, we've seen all this. Right, so we had this debate. Right. So who is Alexander? Giovanni?
The man at the right.
Very good. Can you describe him?
He smokes.
Yes. What about his face?
He smiles.
Yeah.
He's happy.
He's happy.
He's diabolique.
Yeah. Okay. What about this one here? Emric. I can't see you. Emric. Can you see it? No? Alright. Leah. He plays the guitar. Mathilde? Yeah. Yeah. Speak up.
So as you can see, the pupils are saying quite a lot, but we don't
Right.
hear what they
So,
say.
what about this debate? Yes, Leon.
I think this name is famous and other name is
Yes. Is Sigarov. Right. Okay. Nice. Okay. So what about this debate? Stand up, please. We'll hear you better. Okay. Matthew, stand up. Turn towards. So the debate. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yeah.
I don't like the ecology.
Thanks to the ecology, we can save the planet.
But I want to have money. I want to have money.
Yes, you will have money, but you will destroy the planet.
It's too expensive to save the world.
You will save the people if you save the world.
Okay, it's not a confrontation, okay? It's a debate, right? Next. Thank you very much. Other contestants, participants?
Okay, again, 2 minutes for you. Talk to the person next to you. So what do you think? Think about the way that the interaction and what's happening in the classroom, but also how the whiteboard was exploited in this lesson. What do you think about the way that the teacher used the whiteboard in this lesson? It's a pity that you couldn't hear what the pupils were saying, right? So it's difficult to analyze, I know, but anything that comes to your mind. Yes.
And we kind of were discussing that. I said that the whiteboard wasn't really used here much because he just used it to show the pictures, and he could have done that in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
There was no use for this expensive device.
Exactly. Yes. I think this is a very good point. Yes. Yes. And you could have used, if you use digital images, you don't necessarily need an interactive whiteboard. You can use your computer with a projector, and you show the digital pictures. So, so this wouldn't have been necessary. So this was one of the aspects. No? He used the whiteboard for showing the two pictures, but also for what else? Yeah.
Probably for helping the students to find into their roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he did a good job, and I think the students were very activated, or they talked a lot, and I think the discussion wasn't too bad either. And
No. Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, yes. And they were also supposed to look at the board because there were some phrases or sentences that were supposed to help, that provide task support to help them during the debate. So they are supposed to use those phrases. One of the students didn't look at them at all. The other one looked at them. So this was the idea behind the use of the whiteboard. But as you said, you wouldn't have needed this expensive piece of technology for that kind of activity. But on the other hand, in terms of interaction, in terms of language production, you could see a different level here. You could see learners actually simulating a real life activity, because there are debates. This is something we see on TV all the time. We also have individual debates sometimes. Now we discuss things. Yes?
I think it's really interesting that we're talking about good learning in the environment, and this classroom is really dark, and I think it makes students maybe really tired.
Yeah.
And I think it could be more bright and
Yes. Yes, yes. This is the video recording sometimes makes a difference, right? For example, here, this video recording, because this room now is so dark, so we have such a nice atmosphere here, right? Everybody's smiling and everything. But then you look at the video recording and you think, oh, this was so dark and everything. But in that case, it was a difficult situation. These two students had to stand up, or pupils had to stand up and talk to each other, have this debate, and this sequence is going to be seen by people from all over the world, imagine. And they knew that. They knew that they were being recorded, so it's really something that is very challenging for the pupils. So their production was also not so good. But at least I wanted to think about in terms of interaction and the development here. So the next one is from Germany. So you're going to see German pupils. But it's very dark, okay? So I'm really sorry. It's very dark. I looked at the video clip this morning and I could see it's very dark. So you can see more or less what is happening here. Yeah, this is, yeah.
We start with, who's group 5? 5, you want to start?
No.
1. You want to start? Number 1? Okay. Should we turn off the lights? Okay.
Hello.
No, stop. Louder, and the rest of you is quiet, please.
We are Francisco, Granite, and Görkem. Mr. Knapp, what can you see on this picture?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I can see a man.
And what's his name?
I don't know.
Halle, do you know his name?
No.
No. Mohammed. Full name? Benedict? Louder, please.
His full name is Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Was born in 86.
Okay, you can imagine how this will continue. Huh? So now, since we only have 4 minutes, so we could discuss this together. Huh? So what did you think about this specific sequence in comparison to the other sequences that we have seen so far? Yes. She's like, I want to say something.
It's not supposed to be one-to-one. But yeah, I was thinking that it was a group work. The little group is standing up front. The teacher is completely out of the context, so he really is just sort of like in a scaffolding function, just supportive. Yeah, and they are all interacting together as a class. So basically those 3 boys, I think it was, standing up front, are handling the whole communication process.
Okay. So somehow the teacher, as you said, handed over the control to the pupils. Okay. Anything else? Here? Yes. Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, I think it's good that the students could use the whiteboard, for like, doing it for them, and to involve the rest of the class and the teacher. So they used it pretty good.
Yes. So it's the first time that we saw the whiteboard really being controlled, the use of the whiteboard being controlled by the pupils. Huh? So they actually designed the presentation with the software. As you could see, they used the whiteout effect. So the idea, okay, the background, some background for you regarding this lesson. The teacher asked the pupils they were working with the topic Bristol, cultural studies, and the pupils were supposed to work in groups and to prepare some presentations. This is a very traditional way of working in German schools, presentations. The pupils have to develop presentation skills, also for their exams and everything. And, but this time the teacher said you are supposed to go to the computer lab and prepare your presentations on with the whiteboard software to make sure you make your presentations more interactive. So you have to think creatively and think about how you can exploit the interactive whiteboard tools to make your presentation more interesting, and you can engage the others in your presentation. And you could see these pupils, they were using the white artifact for that, but also the pictures, exploiting the pictures in the ways that the teachers do. So he said, Mr. Knapp. And then he asked the teacher a question. How did the teacher react? At that point.
Well, at first he said, are you asking me?
Yeah.
But then he kind of stepped into the role of a student and said, I can see a man, but I don't know his name.
Exactly. So yes, so the teacher actually decided to play together with the pupils and say, okay, are you asking me? It's a bit strange that you're asking me, but I will answer it. So the teacher was surprised with the kind of output or the kind of question that came from so unplanned language production, and it became real. Because you could see this pupil actually saying things like, speak louder, do you know it, and things like that. So it was a point when the pupil was actually producing language that was really unexpected in that context. And the whiteboard supported this because they were excited about designing the presentation. It would have been different if they would have used just a overhead projector or something like that. They could use new technologies, which is something they get excited about. So they were excited, as you could see, they were presenting, and these pupils were actually interacting in a different way. And maybe the whiteboard made a difference. Maybe, maybe not. We don't really know if it was because of the whiteboard or not. But at least the teacher was exploiting the whiteboard in that direction. And that's exactly how I would like to finish my presentation. I still had a video conferencing video to show you, but I think we had enough, right? We had so many things in this session. So I think we had enough here. And I would like to finish this presentation with this example so that you could see that when you use the whiteboard, the important thing is to actually hand over the control of the technology to your pupils to make sure that they use the technology to express themselves, to express their identities, that they can feel free to say what they want to say. And that you're not going to use the technology to control the learning environment and to say, this is what I want you to say, and you have to repeat after me. But to allow them to be free to produce language. That's how they are going to develop their language competence. Okay? In our project, we found different ways of using the interactive whiteboard. As you could see, there's different levels. But unfortunately, most of the video clips actually show a very low level of interaction. The majority of the video clips. So it's not very easy to find something that is very exciting for you as young teachers. But if you look at the video clips and you analyze them, it's important for you because as you can see, you learn from things even if they are not perfect. And you can see what went wrong, what could have been done better. So you can actually adapt those ideas to other things. As you are working with theory here and you have great support from your lectures and things like that. Okay? So I would invite you to go to the website and visit our, look at our video clips. Thank you very much for your participation. I really enjoyed being here today. Okay? Bye-bye.